Got it. Thank you.
Thank you. So good morning, everybody. And welcome to Sri Bagavath. It is graciously sharing his message with us. And we are very grateful to Sri Bagavath for doing so very, very, very much. Thank you, Sri Bagavath. And maybe we can start today with the famous question, who am I?
Okay.
And because it's really a key point to understand what is this thing that we call I? Does it have any role to play in the internal world? And what is its role in the outer world? And Sri Bagavath, please, you can speak some words about it, and then maybe we can open it to discussion.
Okay. Namaste to all of you. In the previous occasion, we have seen what is the role of functioning of our mind. The mind functions in two ways. The first one is emotional part. The first part, the part one of mind, is emotional part. And the second one is the intellectual part. So the emotional part functions moment by moment new. There cannot be any old in the part of emotions. Each and every moment, new emotion alone can come, new emotion alone can exist. It moment by moment, it is new. There is no old, there is no memory in the first part. The second part is the intellectual part. It has some memory. With the help of memory, it thinks and works, it plans, and it executes doings in many ways. So all this belong to the second part. The first part is the emotional part. That is the natural happening of our mind. We cannot create the first part. It is automatically created, automatically functioning. We cannot create the first part. It is natural part. The second part alone is under our control. The first part is not under our control. Now, we are giving some new name to the first and second part. The root meaning is same, but the structure and the name alone differs. For example, we are standing in front of a mirror. Our image is reflected in the mirror. The image is not real. But anyhow, we see the mirror image, but somewhere or other, it is unreal. The person who is standing before the mirror is real. We are real. But the image in the mirror is not real. It is only reflection. It is an image. So in this way, we are having many kind of feelings. We feel I am. We feel I have some happiness. We feel I have some sorrow. We feel we have some tension. So everything we feel. So that is the real thing. We feel the existence of it. Afterwards, the intellect part enters. The intellect part gives some meaning to the emotions, meaning to the feeling that I am somebody, I am so and so, I have sorrow, I have happiness, I have anxiety, I have tension. So it names. So this is the second part is the imaginary part. We give imagination with the help of our knowledge, with the help of our intellect. We give some structure to the actual happening. The actual happening is the part of existence. That is real. That is really exist. But the imagination is not exist. But at the same time, the imagination is also there. So now we are giving the different name to the same concept. Previously, we name it as the emotional part and the intellectual part. Now we are giving under a new name the part of existence and the part of imagination. So if you have any idea with related to the part of existence and part of imagination, you can share your idea first, and afterwards I also share my idea and we go along with some discussion. Lanir, you can explain in your own language and we can go after some discussion. And you can invite the suggestions and so their idea under the topic. They are part of existence and the part of imagination. We are giving new name. The emotional part is known as the part of existence, and the intellect part gets the name of imaginary part.
Bagavath, I didn't understand quite what are you asking? Can you clarify a little bit?
And I'll give you. For example, we are standing in front of a mirror. The mirror is reflecting our image. We are real. So I am not the reflection. I am a real person. I am standing in front of a mirror. The mirror have an image of myself. The image is artificial. It is not new. It is not the real thing. It is only imaginary thing. It is a reflected thing. It is not real thing. But the person who is standing in front of the mirror, is the real thing. So the emotional part is the real thing, and the intellect part is an imaginary thing. It creates some imagination related to the subject, related to an object. Giving a name, giving an idea about the emotion or anything. But the emotion is the real thing. The feeling of existence is real thing. But at the same time, we understand the feeling of existence with the screen of some knowledge. So with that is on the screen is the mirror, and the screen of with the screen of knowledge, we imagine something. Through some intellectual part, we are giving some name to the existing things. So the existing thing is the emotional part, but the intellectual part is only the imagination. It creates some imagination through the knowledge, and it gives some name and idea about the happening.
Okay. So I'll speak a few words about it in Hebrew. אז שרי בגבת נותן כאן את הדוגמה של המראה. ברגע שאנחנו עומדים מול המראה, אז כמובן שהדבר האמיתי זה האדם שעומד מול המראה, וההשתקפות היא, אפשר להגיד עליה שהיא אמיתית, ואי אפשר להגיד עליה שהיא לא אמיתית, אבל היא לא אמיתית כמו הבן אדם שעומד מולה. באותו אופן, שרי בגבת אומר שהרגשות שלנו, תחושת הקיום הבסיסית והרגשות, הם הדברים האמיתיים, הם האמת, הם הקיום האמיתי שלנו, ואז בא האינטלקט, המחשבה שמתארת ונותנת כל מיני תארים לאותם הרגשות בסיסיות, ולזה הוא קורא החלק המדומיין, החלק האינטלקטואלי של ההכרה. אוקיי, שבי בגברת.
Okay. If anybody wants to share their idea on this topic, can share first, and afterwards he'll join.
אוקיי. אז אם מישהו רוצה להעיר משהו עם א' או עם עין, להעיר או להעיר בעניין הזה, זה הזמן, פשוט לפתוח את המיקרופון אצלכם ולשאול או לחלוק, וזהו, זה הזמן שלכם.
Can I share, please? Okay. I want to say it reminds me of spiritual development and material development. Like when the real thing in this world is the spiritual development. Like when I'm looking at the mirror, I'm seeing something that is real, but like you said, the intellect is not real. But איך אומרים מקביל?
Parallel.
It's parallel to the subject when the material world you can always have development with money and houses and stuff, but the real development is in your is spiritual, is in your mind. I just said something that I conclude from your words.
We'll go through the question and answer last. And first, you share your ideas. If anybody wants to share their idea, they may share first.
I can say something also.
Okay.
It seems that when we are experiencing feelings, emotions, that there is the subject here and is experiencing some object, some feeling, some emotion. So it seems that there is a separate existence for this I from the emotions that it appears. Because we feel that the I is permanent and the emotions are changing. They come and go, and all the time new emotion comes and old emotion. and there seems to be a permanent self, permanent I.
Hmm.
He is experiencing all these things that come and go, but he himself is permanent. He himself is not changing. This is the usual, the basic assumption that most of us have about, and it's also even more than an assumption. It's a kind of an experience that we have, that the things that we perceive, they are changing, but the I that perceives them seems to be unchanging.
Oh, okay. If any other person,
Yeah. I'm sorry, I don't have the video now, but
Hmm.
I don't know if it's relevant, but it's something that came up through your talk for me, is that when I feel kindness, when I feel compassion, I feel it is the real me. And then when I look in the mirror, and then when I see reflection of bad feelings, let's call them, when I feel angry, when I feel envy, when I feel, then it's easier for me to look at the mirror and to say, oh, it's only the reflection and it's not the real me.
Hmm.
So I feel there is like a separation between those feelings, like negative and positive, when positive is the real me and negative is only reflection that I can say anger came up, but it is not the real me. While when kindness coming up, I can say, oh, this is the real me. Just a thought.
Okay. Any other person wants to share their idea?
Yes, I would also want to share that sometimes our emotions and interpretations about what we are experiencing, they get mixed together. So there is, when you say there is actually, these are two things and not one thing, so it's, it somehow shows how much we mix between the two, between what I feel and what and all what I think or how I interpret or whatever I feel about what I feel. And this is another point.
Any other person wants to share their idea?
Yeah, man. Maybe I hope it's gonna be clear, but there is the real and the imaginary, right? If I understand correctly, the imaginary is the part which allows us to function in the world, and it seems like this part has no problem. The problem seems to be the imaginary I, not the imaginary thoughts or feelings. The imaginary I is the problem, which makes you identify with the flow of thoughts and feelings, etc., and interpretations. So the problem is the imaginary I, and the question, maybe we'll wait with that for the question part, but I almost feel that the problem is not with the thoughts and the feeling, it's with the imaginary I. This is how I kind of feel about it.
Okay. Anybody else wants to share? Lanir, shall I share something?
Yes, yes. I think everybody who wanted to say has said it, and you can speak. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So here, even though we are having a single mind, it functions in two ways. So when we feel the function of our mind, then only we can differentiate the emotional part and the intellect part. And the intellect part is an imaginary part, but the emotional part alone is the real. That alone we can feel. When we are in deep sleep, without any dream, there cannot be any eye consciousness. Even the eye consciousness will not be seen evidently, even though it may be in a dormant form, but we cannot feel I am. When we in sleep, there is no I am at all. So when we are awake, at least in dream state itself, eye consciousness is there. So the eye consciousness is also in emotional part. If the emotional part does not function, even the eye consciousness will not be there. So the eye consciousness is also the one of the emotional part. So that is real. We feel the existence of ourselves. We feel the existence of our emotions. Sometimes we may be happy. Sometimes we may be sorrow. Sometimes we may be anger. Anything we feel. So the feel is the existence part. But the imaginary part is only a memory. Only with the help of memory, we create some idea about the existence. If the imaginary part gives the meaning to the even to the I am also. I am purely in real sense, it is only an existence, the feeling of existence. The I am is a feeling of existence, but at the same time, we just like the mirror of our knowledge, mirror of our memory, gives some definition to the real existence. It is only a meaning. The meaning, all some structure are given by the imaginary part or the intellectual part. If there is no intellect, if there is the intellect is not functioning, we feel only the existence alone will be there. But moment by moment, we feel through the intellect. Even from the childhood onwards, we have created the intellect part, and with the help of the intellect part alone, we recognize the actual existence of our emotion, the meaning of our emotion. Actually, all our existence does not have any meaning. In itself, it is meaningless. So when we go through the imaginary part or the intellect part, we give some meaning to the existence. We giving it, all our existence becomes meaningful. Otherwise, it is meaningless. There is no meaning to our existence. It is only the actual existence. It is only the actual feeling. So it is a real thing. But at the same time, it is a living thing. So it is moment by moment, it is new. Even though the I consciousness we feel as a constant and unchanged thing, it is also changing moment by moment because it is also a living thing. Living thing, all living thing is moment by moment new. There cannot be any old in the living thing. So, but at the same time, the imaginary part, the intellect part gives meaning to the existence, meaning to our feelings. So, the feeling of existence and the content of our imaginary part joins together, it gives a psychological experience. So each and every psychological experience is the joining venture is of the one part is the existence, the other part is the imaginary part or the intellectual part. They jointly makes our psychological experience. Each and every psychological experience, for example, we feel we have happy, we feel we have anger, we feel we have sorrow. It is an experience. So all experience, in each and every experience, the two parts are there. The one part is the feeling of existence. The other part is the imaginary part or the intellect part. So we have some idea about their experience. We have some understanding. We have some recognition about the experience. We experience it as a feeling of happiness. We recognize it as a feeling of sorrow. We recognize it as a feeling of anger. So in this way, we recognize our feeling. So even before the recognition, some emotional happening is there. But the emotional happening comes and goes moment by moment. After the disappearance of the emotional existence, emotional expression, we recognize the emotional happening. So the recognition of the recognition of the emotional experience is only comes later. So it is the imaginary part. But it is in the external world is concerned, we have to make use of our imaginary part, make use of the intellect part. Then only we can plan our action, we can do our action. Everything comes through our intellect part or the imaginary part. But at the same time, the existence of the existing part, all our psychological experience or the feeling of existence, everything comes naturally. We cannot create it. We cannot design it. It is in itself, it is meaningless. It has no meaning at all. It has no recognition. It is only the existence. The existence alone is the main part of our psychological experience. But only the imaginary aspect is only the addition. It is only the addition to the experience, addition to the existence. So actually each and every moment we feel something psychologically. So our psychological experience is the real thing and it comes and goes as a living thing. But at the same time, only for the work alone, only for the external duty, external circumstances, we have to plan. We have to execute our plan. For that, our imaginary part, our intellect part is necessary. With the help of the intellectual part, we have to do many things. But at the same time, so psychologically, each and every moment is a new moment. We cannot rectify anything. We cannot correct anything. It corrects itself on its own because it is moment by moment new. There cannot be any hole in the emotional part and the existence part. So we need not to, we have no work upon the first part. So here, the spiritual world, the Atmic world comes, what we have to do. So in the psychological world, if you do not have any duty at all to correct your emotion, correct your feelings, if you understand that we have no duty at all to rectify ourselves, correct ourselves psychologically, so it goes on with full freedom, so full liberation. So our mind has to function with full liberation, with full freedom. So we cannot criticize, we cannot accuse ourselves, we cannot accuse our feeling that I have unwanted feeling, I do not tolerate with our unwanted feeling, unwanted emotions. So if you restrict ourselves, if you restrict our emotions like this, then only the struggle going on within ourselves. So if you do not have any psychological struggle within ourselves, we can struggle, we can work, we can plan, we can execute our plan. In physical world, we have to do many duties, we have to execute our duties. But psychologically, we have to find ourselves without any duty. So finding ourselves without any duty psychologically, with related to our emotions, with related to our existence, that alone is the enlightenment, that alone is the real understanding. If we have the real understanding that we don't have any duty related to our existence, related to our psychological experience, so that is a real spirituality. So here, the spirit alone is working. The idea is not working. The imagination is not working. The spirit alone is working. So the first part is the spiritual part. The second part alone is the imaginary part. So we have to give total freedom to the spiritual part, the first part. That is the main thing. To give freedom to the first part, giving freedom to the spiritual part, the imaginary part has to understand, the intellectual part has to understand, but it has the knowledge, it has the memory, it has the logic, it has to think. So it has the capacity to think and decide. So the second part, or the imaginary part, or the intellectual part, that alone has to inquire and come to a conclusion that it has no duty related to the existence part or the emotional part. Then the emotional part gets total freedom, the spiritual part gets total freedom. So that is the main thing related to our understanding. Lanir, you can explain in your own language.
Okay.
As you can.
It was a long one. Yeah. Okay. שרי בגבת מציג כאן בעצם את המסר העיקרי שלו, שבו הוא אומר, ואני אלך לשורה התחתונה כבר, כי אני לא יכול לחזור על כל מה שהוא אמר. אז בו הוא אומר ששני החלקים שבנו, יש לנו את החלק הטבעי, החלק הספונטני, החלק שנולדנו איתו, חלק שחי ומשתנה מרגע לרגע הרגשות שלנו, ויש לנו את החלק של האינטלקט שהתפתח מגיל 2.5, 3 והלאה, עד שגדלנו. החלק הטבעי, הספונטני, הוא חי, הוא מגיב לאירועים שקורים סביבו, בהתאם לסיטואציות שמתרחשות. והאינטלקט הוא כביכול עומד מהצד, ומתאר את מה שקורה, ומנסה להגיד אם מה שקרה בעולם הרגשי הוא טוב או לא טוב, רצוי או לא רצוי, ויוצר מלחמה בעולם הפנימי. אז שרי בגבת מציע שנתחיל לבחון מה זה העולם הטבעי, מה זה הרגשות הספונטניים, מה זה הרגשות הטבעיים שלנו, ולהתחיל להבדיל ביניהם לבין האינטלקט. האינטלקט, החלק, הוא קורא לזה גם חלק של הדמיון, ששופט, שמתערב, שאומר זה טוב, זה לא טוב, זה רצוי, זה לא רצוי, ובעצם לא מאפשר את התנועה הטבעית של הנפש. ומתוך ההבנה הזאת של מה זה מה זה החלק הטבעי של הנפש, ומה זה החלק האינטלקטואלי, ולהבין שלחלק האינטלקטואלי אין תפקיד לעשות בעולם הפנימי. וכל התפקיד שלו הוא אמור להיות מופנה אך ורק לטיפול בעולם החיצוני. מתוך ההבנה הזאת צומחת מגיעה לידי ביטוי, זאת בעצם ההערה. ההבנה של האינטלקט אין עבודה לעשות בעולם הפנימי. ההבנה של האינטלקט יש רק עבודה לעשות בעולם החיצוני, זאת היא ההערה על פי שרי בגבת, והשחרור על פי שרי בגבת שכבר נמצא שם, זה פשוט התנועה הטבעית של הנפש מרגע לרגע, שקורית ומתרחשת בהתאם לסיטואציות שעומדות מולנו. אבל היא לא זקוקה לשום תיקון, לשום שום עשייה. היא פשוט צריך להניח לה, להיות בחופשיות, ואז הקלות של הקיום נחשפת. Shri Bhagavat, I explained as much as I can.
Okay. If anybody wants to question the subject, you can question and I can give some discussion.
I wanted to ask something, Shri Bhagavat. It seems from what you are saying that actually what we think we are, or even what we feel we are, is the very thing that has to understand that he has no work in the psychological world. Because most of us feel that we are the intellect.
Yeah.
We don't feel that we are the emotions or we feel that actually we are the intellect that looks at the things and then decide what should we do or what should we not do. So it seems that you suggest that who we are is the or is the intellect actually. Is it true or?
So with the help of the intellect alone, we assume something to be somebody. Otherwise, we are nobody. It is meaningless. I am is meaningless. But we convert it as a meaningful. Meaningful. Otherwise, it is meaningless. Less meaning. Otherwise, full meaning. Otherwise, the I am itself is meaningless. It is I am alone. So in this way, each and every emotion is meaningless. Sometimes we may happy, sometimes we may have sorrow or anything. It is in itself it is meaningless. But we convert it to be a meaningful. Then only it becomes a problem. So here, in the olden days, it is said you concentrate upon I am, the I consciousness. If you I can't, because we separate ourselves, the I am is separate from the experience. For example, I have sorrow, I am having sorrow. I am is separate, the experience is separate, as if there are two things. So the I am is pure without any we give concentration of the aims, don't mind the experience. If you don't mind the experience means, that means it is in a different way, it is also giving some freedom to the experience. So indirect way, we are giving freedom to our psychological experience. That is the main thing to concentrate on. Because I consciousness is it is a setup point. It is not experiencing, but experience comes to the I consciousness. The I consciousness is a constant thing. The experience is coming and going. So in this way, we think like that. So here, Yeah, whatever we try, we have to give total freedom to the experience. We should not give importance to the psychological experience. But at the same time, even the physical world is concerned, we have to give importance to the psychological experience also, psychological emotion also. Then only we can plan our external action. For example, you travel in a forest, in a dark. So the fear comes for our health. Then only we will be careful on our going on. So it creates a way how to live in this world, in this situation. So in this way, we can make use of our emotion for the external use. But in itself, it is a meaningless. In that circumstance, we have alone. So I consciousness, giving importance to I consciousness alone means don't give importance to the emotion. Don't give emotion to the psychological experience. So that is the meaning of behind that. So we have to give, so we have to come to understanding, okay, conclusion that we should not give importance to our psychological experience.
It somehow reminds me of the Zen practice. They just sit, and experience, only to experience what is. So what you speak about is not a practice, it's more an understanding, and they somehow, the Zen.
So if you make it as a practice, but anyhow, the meaning is same. You don't mind the psychological experience. Of that. That means keeping yourself sit calmly and watch everything as it comes and goes. That's the meaning of that. I don't mind the occurrence of our emotions. Whether it is a good emotion or bad emotion, I don't mind it. Let it come and let it go. So but at the same time, we need, if you practice, if you want to practice, you can practice. Otherwise, practice is not necessary. The very understanding is enough. Okay. Just a minute. Now, you can continue.
So I have one question. So you said before that being aware of the I conscious separates you from the experience. My question is, this I conscious,
Actually, the I consciousness is not separate from the experience. Both are same, but it looks like as if it's a separate one. It appears like that, but really it is not separate. Each and every I consciousness is coming and going along with the there is not at all any consciousness also. Whenever some I consciousness, naturally there will be some other experience also there. Without any experience, without any psychological experience, there cannot be any I consciousness. But at the same time, it looks like that as if it is a separate one. The I consciousness is something separate, and the I consciousness is having many experience, many emotion one by one. But it looks like that. But in reality, it is not like.
okay, in that case, when there is nothing, no emotion, no thoughts. There is no I, as you say.
No, but at the same time, whenever there is no thought, you'll go simply go to sleep. So, so when there is no when there is no thought, I consciousness will not be there. But if you feel I consciousness, in some way or other, some least thought may be there. Without the availability of thought, we cannot feel the I consciousness. If you feel I consciousness, in some form, some thought may be there.
So what is the state of no thought, no feeling, and no I?
It will be simply art. Then only you don't feel the I consciousness. But you don't. Why should we imagine a speculation coming or not? This matters. This thing we need not worry about that. But our daily sleep, we are going to sleep where there is no thought. Sometimes we have thought in the form of dream. If there is no dream, there is no thought at all.
So the first part, which is emotions coming and going without any interference, there is an I at that point, because the minute there is an emotion, there is an I.
Yeah. So the I is there. Each and every moment, the I consciousness is there. There is no trouble about that. Let it be there. But when you want to practice, want to concentrate upon the I consciousness, and thereby you can delete your emotions. So disregard the emotion. Only to disregard our all emotions, we have to focus our attention to the I consciousness. Otherwise, we need not worry about the I consciousness. So the root meaning is that we have to be free from our psychological emotions. We have to concentrate. We have to give effort to the external world. So external world is concerned, every work is necessary. All things we have to plan. We have to emotion. We can make use of that. But the emotion in itself, we have to give freedom alone is required. So alone has to give freedom. If the intellect part does not give freedom, it has to rectify itself in a good way, in a pleasurable way. So if you give total freedom, good feeling or bad feeling, let it come and go. If we give total freedom to that, everything will be all right. The first part also will be all right. Second part also.
Okay, maybe last question. Doing nothing, not concentrating on anything, just letting whatever happen. To call this practicing doing
nothing. Whatever it may be, the main intention of that practice is that we have to give total freedom to the emotions. That is the meaning of our practice. If you give, what's the meaning of that? You are giving total freedom to your emotions, whether let it come or go. You unconcerned with your emotion. That's the meaning of our practice.
doing nothing is a practice, just getting freedom. Same thing.
Same. But it is psychological. But in the external world is concerned, doing nothing is a nuisance.
Yes.
It is a problematic one. It's good. There is good and bad is there in the external world is concerned. You have to do correct thing, good thing. But in the psychological world, there is no bad. There is, and we have to be totally free. But the spot is always free. Only the sense of the freedom of the first part. If the second part does missing cannot practice the consciousness or keeping doing nothing.
Okay.
Okay.
Understand, and you're free. But then you're not, because each and every moment the I conscious comes to life. Each and every moment it comes to life. So you always need to remember.
So we got to, first of all, we have to differentiate the part and the second part. The image within the mirror tries to separate the real I am, the real person. The real point with anything is always free. But we think when we are having good emotion, we think we are not it ourselves. We try to correct ourselves. But in the first part is always free. It has all the liberty to get good emotion or bad emotion. So we have to keep ourselves. The first part is always ready, but the second does not allow. So we have to understand the stupid function of the second part. So it mistakenly to correct the first part.
May I?
Okay.
Namaskaram, Bhagavat.
No.
May I question?
No question. You can question.
May I know this second part? What is the form of the second part?
The second part is our intellectual part. We plan, we think. So our conscious action or conscious of the second part. But the first part is unconscious part. It is knowledge. We know only the only after the disappearance of the first part alone, we can recognize, we can understand the happening of the first part is the real part, this unconscious part. So when we are conscious of something, with our intellect, with our knowledge, that is the second part.
So our focus is on second part, that we should dissolve it.
The second part we need not dissolve, but the second part should not interfere with the first part. So
but we are conditioned to function as second part.
So the function of the second part is to related to the external situation, external duties, external work. For the external work alone, the second part has the duty, that has the right. Without the second part, we cannot do any work for your personal work or your duty to the office or anything. Without the help of the second part, we cannot do anything. You cannot do anything with the help of the first part alone. The first part cannot attend the daily routine, cannot attend the daily duties. It cannot attend the daily work. The first part cannot have any capacity to attend the daily work. So that the second part alone has to do.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Like we were born, when we were born, we were born free, right? We didn't have any idea, only the first part. And then slowly we developed the second part. After we developed the second part, we added spiritual knowledge, all kind of spiritual knowledge. I am meditation. What should we do with ourselves? Where should we tend to? And now you is rearranging the whole ideas from the beginning.
But at the same time, everything is good. Even meditation is good, but everything, the destination is that you have to understand. You have to give total freedom to the first part. So that is the destination. Before that, you can do meditation, work, care, whatever thing you can do. But all doings are only the help of the second part. The help of the second part, the help with related to the first part. Everything is good, but the just give total freedom. So physical work, we can, there is no disregard the physical work. Physical work, you have to go to the physical work. You have to attend to the daily work. There is no leave for that. There is no retirement for that. Yes. Yeah. Babulal mute ಆಯಿತು. Babulal ಅಯ್ಯ 1 hour ಆಯ್ತು.
ಓಕೆ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಚೊಲ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ ಅಮ್ಮ. ಅಯ್ಯ
אני לא כל כך הבנתי את התשובה של אשתך, שהוא נתן לה, של הגברת. היא שאלה את השאלה שכשנולדנו היינו ככה, אבל את התשובה לא הבנתי.
asking.
Rita is saying that she didn't understand the answer that you gave to Oshrat.
She told that it's a meditation practices. So all meditation is good. So the first meditation is to reach the destination. Destination is to give total physical consciousness, psychological. So that means give down. So that is liberation. The liberation of the first part is the destination. For that you can practice meditation. But that is, if you understand we have no work related to the destination, if you come to understanding like this, then no practice is needed. Otherwise, for the beginning, you can do some meditation. So the aim for the meditation is to destination. The destination is to give total freedom to the first part, the total freedom to the psychological emotion.
הבנת? או שאני אחזור?
אני הבנתי שאנחנו יכולים לייצר את זה על ידי המדיטציה.
כן, אבל הוא אומר, שרי בגבת אומר שהמדיטציה היא לא הכרחית. זאת אומרת, אתה יכול לתרגל מדיטציה. המטרה של כל המדיטציות לפי שרי בגבת היא להגיע למצב שבו אתה מניח לחלק הראשון, לחלק הספונטני, לחלק שאתה נולד איתו, מניח לו להיות חופשי לגמרי. זה השחרור על פי שרי בגבת. ואתה יכול להגיע לזה על ידי תרגול גם, בהתחלה אם אתה לא בוטח בהבנה שלך, תרגול יכול לעזור, לתת לך איזושהי עדות בזה, אבל הוא לא חובה, התרגול הוא לא חובה. מספיק שאתה תבין שהחלק השני, האינטלקט, מבין שהוא לא צריך להתערב בחלק הראשון, בחלק של הרגשות והתחושות, על מנת שהשחרור יקרה.
תודה, thank you.
Okay.
תודה.
So, Sri Bagavath, we want to thank you very much.
Thank you all.
It's always a pleasure to hear from you and to get the wisdom from your words. So thank you very much, and we hope maybe
The next week we can talk about the how to meet our daily day-to-day problem. We can how to deal with our problem.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Babula.
Yeah,
All of you.
Thank you very much. Okay, I'll stop recording.